morning. This is Tampa Home Talk, and we're glad you're here. We are back for our second hour of Tampa Home Talk, and we did open up the last hour for calls, but I don't think we asked for faxes.
Fax your questions to 888-404-1010. That's fax your questions to 888-404-1010.
Please don't. Pat will disown me, and he will leave. He will not be back next week, so if you love Pat
Where
George,
did someone find a fax machine?
do not fax your questions.
It must be a banker.
Call. You can call 888-404-1010. This week.
Speaking of faxes, I actually had someone that it ties into last hour, it ties into roofing, ties into everything. I had a client that asked me to fax them over a color board.
What? There, he's still.
I had to explain if I could find a fax machine. They transmit in black and white.
Yeah, they don't want to give up. They keep trying to call via fax.
Do you remember, right when fax machines, kind of ended their day? They started with the color fax. Do you remember that was?
I don't remember.
Yeah, there was a color fax machine trying to get in there, and it still just.
I think the minute someone figured out what a paperclip button did on an email, It ended the fax machine.
Yes, you're right. So this hour, we have an amazing guest lined up for you. We're going to be talking all about smart meters. And before we roll in and introduce our guest, let's talk about who she is, Adam.
Yeah, so today we have Pavita Prasad, and she is a spokesperson with Duke Energy since 2015. She graduated with her bachelor's degree from UCF, and she's previously held communications roles with Marion County Fire Rescue and U.S. Health Shands Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Duke Energy, pretty big company.
Yes, we are. We serve 1.8 million customers in the state of Florida in 35 counties.
You serve this building right here.
We do.
So welcome to Tampa Home Talk. Thanks for being our guest today. We're so happy you're here. And today's topic of the show is all about smart meters. So for the person listening, what the heck is a smart meter?
What is a smart meter? So most people rarely think about their meters that are on their homes.
I don't even know where my meter is on this building. I'm a Duke Energy customer.
That's usually a pretty good thing. If you've never had to find out where it is, that's a good thing. But what Duke Energy Florida is doing is we are actually upgrading our meter infrastructure. So our current meters can communicate to us, but they're one-way communicators, and we currently read all of our meters by drive-by technology. What the smart meter enables us to do is two-way communication. So it actually transmits information to us without kind of eliminating that need to drive by it.
You're talking about a physical human being actually going out checking the meter, right?
Exactly. So now it's able to transmit information directly to us, and we're actually able to push information to the smart meter itself.
Like what?
So, very good question.
What kind of info?
Very good question. Well, we're able to ping it, as we call it, which means that, so say there's a large storm that comes through the area. And
like it's about ready to roll through right now?
Yes. If anybody, I'm sure lots of people are driving.
Yeah, drive safe.
I'm sure she already called Duke Energy, and she's like, do not let the power flicker.
Well, you get a discount if your power goes out. They don't bill you for that.
Somewhat of a discount. Yeah, you're only billed for the energy that you use, right?
Second.
So we're able to, if there's a large storm that passes through an area, and say an entire neighborhood is without power, and our crews go out, they restore power for the entire neighborhood, and there might be something wrong with one or two homes, the connections to the meters, things like that. Where
like what? Like what kind of stuff is wrong?
So if there's an issue with the meter base itself, or the connection from the meter to the feeder line, there could be little things like that would affect one or two homes, but not the entire neighborhood. So when the crew leaves, they think that they have the entire neighborhood back on, until we realize that, oh no, there are still a couple of homes that don't have it. What this technology allows us to do is, after an outage like that, we're able to send a kind of a message, a signal to the meters in a specific area. And if they communicate back with us, we know that they're on, they're running. And if they don't, then we're like, oh, there's an issue there. Let's see if it's us or if it's something that that needs to be handled separately.
So this change, this upgrade, I'm sure it's really expensive for Duke Energy. What's the primary reason why they want to upgrade all of the meters?
Sure. So this is kind of the new phase, the newest technology. And so you're right, it can be an expense. However, there's no upfront cost to customers. So in 2017, a couple of years ago, we decided that we were going to do a huge Building a Smarter Energy Future grid modernization project. And that includes solar, smart meters, hardening and resiliency, targeted undergrounding, several several different projects. So this project is one of those, and so it's built into rates, and so there's not an upfront cost to customers, which is great. But in addition, there are also a lot of benefits that the customers see with the new technology as well.
What kind of stuff?
So, lots of great things. The first one that I'll mention is pick your due date. So, a customer who receives a new smart meter can go online and opt to pick their due date. So similar to your credit card or some of your other bills that you may have, you're able to log on and select which day of the month you'd like to pay your bill, what's most convenient for you. And then that date is locked in for a year, and then you can change it again.
Leo gave me a crazy question, like I stole his question.
No,
Is that what I did?
I'm just excited about this. I got a smart meter.
I know,
I've
he's
got
really-
a smart TV. I've got a smart.
He couldn't wait to
I've
talk
got a
about
smart
this.
fridge. Did they all talk to each other? Like, does my fridge order me a pizza, and then my meter lets me know what Netflix I should be watching?
So unfortunately not. There's no connections like that. But what your meter will do, it will give you energy usage information. So right now what's currently available to our Florida customers is energy usage alerts and budget alerts. So our customers
So it's going to text you?
text you or
Will it turn
email
my
you.
lights off?
It will not. It will not. But it'll give you information on your energy usage, so you
might
can
in the
turn your lights
future.
off.
Because
That'd
it's
be
smart,
scary.
right?
Your meters detected no human heat signatures in this room. We're turning your lights off.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine that? Like,
That'd be
I don't
awesome.
even want to go where my thought just went.
Question for you, and I'm sure it's not quite there yet. But you said you can pick your date, and you have budget features and that kind of stuff. Could you set it to where you have like an automatic card or something on there, and you say, all right, well, whenever it hits $100, pay it, and then you'll go to the next time?
So not right now. Like
Okay.
you said, not quite there yet.
Right.
Not quite there yet. But what the budget alert does let you do is you can pick an amount, and as you're nearing that amount on your monthly bill, it'll notify you, and then you can say, "Oops, I need to readjust
You know what?
my energy usage."
I love that you guys brought that question up, because for the person listening that might be super budget conscious, what happens if they get there and they're right, like it notifies them within $5 or $10, or they tell it right when?
Right.
So what are some things that the person listening can do if they have the smart meter to actually scale back their energy usage and keep that bill kind of within their budget?
Absolutely. So whether or not they have a smart meter, there's a lot of energy efficiency measures that people can take. So one is when you set your thermostat, make sure that you set it at the most comfortable setting. That's your AC, your HVAC unit is usually the biggest energy consumption unit in the home. So what we recommend is either the most comfortable for you, or about 78 degrees is typically what we recommend,
what
which
we
is
did?
not comfortable for. I know.
Those two things go. They always say set it to 78, and they also say most comfortable. And I don't know anyone that says 78 is very comfortable.
When we first moved into this building, there's 2 AC units here, so we put in the smart thermostats, right? The digital programmable thermostats, and it has timers you can set. So
That's
I
what I
set
do.
it automatically that pretty much when I know most people are leaving, it goes up to 80. So like when I come in here in the mornings, it's like almost 80. It feels like it's so hot.
That's what I do. I
So
love
I crank
stale
it
air
down
at
to
that
like
point.
70.
Pull it back down. Another thing is for ceiling fans. A lot of people use them in their homes, but what's important to remember about those is that when you leave, when you leave a room, turn off the ceiling fan, because what it does is it circulates air, and we like to make it easy and say it really cools the person, not the room. So if you think about it like that, turn it off when you leave a room. You're not using that energy too. And then we also offer a whole bunch of energy efficiency programs that are for free for our customers. And I know other utilities in the area do that as well, where we'll send out an auditor to your home and can help identify specific areas where you can improve in your own home as well.
So are these smart meters, are they also time of use meters?
So they are not for residents.
Break down what's time of use.
So
What's your
time of
question means
use
what?
is a great system, and I use time of use. So during certain peak parts of the day, electricity costs slightly more or less. So at night, I can freeze my house because I'm only paying like 6 cents a kilowatt, whereas during the peak time, which is between 6 and 10 a.m., when everyone's waking up using hot water and air conditioning, then it's like 13 cents. So I can actually skew when I'm using electricity to lower my bill drastically.
Right. So what's great about the smart meters is that they're going to let us get there. So at the end of our deployment or installation, so we're now starting in the Tampa Bay area. We began installations in November for all of Florida. So we've installed about 100,000 of our
Oh my
1.8
goodness.
million.
Wow.
So a ways to go, but we expect to be done by 2021. At the end of that time frame, we will be able to offer that opportunity, the type of use for residential customers. Right now, it's only available for businesses. Another great benefit, which I think that you might be interested in.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that when we come back right after the break.
Perfect.
So she's a lot of fun. I can't.
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775.
We'll be right back in a moment.
Are you looking?
Well, good morning. We're all frantically putting our headsets on. At least we know our bump music, and we know to come back on the air. This is going to be a fun hour. We were learning about smart meters, smart technology, the future of the Tampa Bay.
I'm smarter already.
We just had the elections, which we can't talk about, but we're getting a new mayor in a couple of weeks, new council members, and they're going to be smart.
Next Wednesday. They get inaugurated
they're
next
pushing
Wednesday.
transportation
I think
and
we
all
should
this
invite
stuff.
her on Tampa Home Talk to see.
Can we get Jane on Tampa Home Talk?
Of course. Why not? We'll reach out.
I know two of the council members personally. We can get them on, but
Yeah, we'll have them all in. We'll talk about what their plans are.
really?
Why not?
I
be
can
fun.
make it happen with a council member.
Let's do it. What do you guys
I
think?
probably could too.
Let's
Yeah,
Want to
let's
talk
do
to
it.
the new mayor and the new council people?
Yeah.
Figure out what they have in store for Tampa?
That's a I will accept your challenge.
Okay.
Challenge accepted.
But I thought this isn't a political hour.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. And we're not going to make it political. We're going to make it all about Tampa.
Okay.
We'd talk about why they should move to Tampa, right? What they're going
I
to do
don't
to
even
make people
want
want
to
to
know
come.
what political party they are. I really don't. Like, I don't care.
I accept your challenge. I will make this happen.
All right, let's do it. All right, but for now, we got smart meters
Smart meters, smart conversations.
with Miss Pavita Prasad. And right before we left off on the break, you were talking about something really, really exciting that's coming with the smart meter.
Yes. So the smart meters also enable remote disconnections and reconnections. So as you move into a home or you move out of a home, we can now connect you or disconnect you remotely, which is stopping and starting service, which is really important as you move around the Tampa Bay area.
And right now, that's someone has to come out and physically do that.
Exactly. Yep. So you typically have to call us, and we'll give you a time window and schedule somebody to come out and do that. So
And the other thing too, like if the power is on to the house, like if it's on and they come to turn it on, they usually won't turn it on, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So I
If
know
they-
sometimes, like if the power's on to the house and it's been disconnected and they're coming to turn it on, a lot of times they will not turn it on until all the power is shut off to the house.
Right. In order to transfer service, I believe that's the way it needs to be done. So
So can I have a smart meter if my house doesn't have internet?
yes. So the smart meters
Good
is a great question. That's a great question. So it doesn't operate through your internet service. They actually connect to themselves. So when say your entire neighborhood, entire city has smart meters, they communicate with themselves, and then we have installed some additional equipment on poles. So they communicate to themselves, kind of jump meter to meter until they get to that other equipment, and then that other equipment communicates directly back to us.
I was going
so
to
they
ask
don't
you
go
how
off
they
of your
communicate.
internet.
So it's kind of like a Wi-Fi-ish
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of on a pole.
Yeah.
So do I get a dashboard where I can log in and look at graphs and spreadsheets?
Yes. That's
Loves graphs and spreadsheets.
Love graphs and spreadsheets.
So do I. Yes, you do. So your usage alerts, and then what's coming later this year, we're actually going to have your daily usage, where you'll be able to look to the hour, and also it'll give you some averages on appliances,
Something
which
else I can
appliances are pulling the
micromanage.
most.
I love it.
So lots
Wow.
of graphs, yeah,
That's pretty
and you
cool.
can actually there's actually a video
How
on our
does it
website.
know what appliance is pulling the most?
So it does it by an average based upon what typically pulls the most in your home, and is able to identify about how much of your overall usage is, what percentage
So
is
does
each
it tie
appliance.
into
Mine's all AC.
Does it tie into my panel box then and tell me what breakers are pulling more energy?
No, it doesn't. It's just it's an average.
So those refrigerators that are in the garage, those old ones that use so much energy, was it going to be able to tell that?
It should be able to. Now, again, the appliance usage is more of an average it'll see your overall usage and be able to identify, okay, well, what typically is the most, the most energy usage, or the appliance that takes up the most energy consumption in your home.
Oh, I have a energy
pretty
consumption
crazy.
question. So let's say I have a small fridge versus a 60 bottle wine chiller. Which is going to pull more energy?
That I don't know. We'd have to look into the energy efficiency of the two.
Well, I can't use the internet till tomorrow
Leo's
night.
I cannot wait for the graph to check that one out.
I'm curious. I'm very curious if it would be more energy efficient to have a small fridge versus the wine chillers, because the wine chillers are very inefficient.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say you already said there's no upfront cost to customers, but long term, we're going to be paying for this, I'm sure.
Yes. So they're built in, like I mentioned, they're built into the rates. So as part of this, 2017, we decided to do this entire grid modernization project, our initiative that includes several different projects or programs. That entire package, if you will, is about $6 billion. And smart meters are built into that. And the estimated increase would be about 1 to 3% annually between 2019 and 2021 on a bill. Now, the caveat to that is, this grid modernization materials or projects or programs are just one part of our overall rates. So a good example is the other parts fluctuate. Fuel costs that are passed through to customers and solar and some other items will fluctuate. So it can actually bring that down. So in January, which was this first year of impacts to rates, it was actually less than a 1% increase, including all of these grid mod programs as well as some of the other the rate impacts.
How's it expected to change you guys' costs? You'll need less manpower, right, to go out and read the meters.
Right. That's true. However, we will, for the other equipment that I mentioned that we'll be installing on the poles, there's going to be some specialty technicians who will use that as well.
Now, question for you. How long does it take them to install the new box? Like, what's the timeline if I'm a resident in, say, Pinellas County right now?
Sure.
What's the timeline to start to finish?
That's a great question. So we just started installations in the Tampa Bay area a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And they're going to continue through March 2021 in the Tampa Bay, all of our Tampa Bay counties. Now, the actual installation is very quick. It takes a couple of minutes, if that.
Really?
Because they're literally opening up your meter box, removing one meter, ensuring that everything is looking okay, and then putting in the other meter.
How are they deciding where to go, like where to start? And are they literally going house to house to house?
They are. Yep.
Wow.
We have to visit every single customer. And so we have contractors, and that's another good point is that, with the scams that are out there and a lot of, scammers trying to get whatever they can, we want our customers, our neighbors, to be as safe as possible. So all of our contractors have a badge that say that they're with Duke Energy. On their trucks, it says that they're a contractor for Duke Energy. They have a vest. And if any customer is ever concerned, they can call up our customer care center and we can identify when we're going to be in their neighborhood.
So are you guys sending letters to customers or anything to let them know when you're coming? Because if somebody just showed up at my house and they're tampering the outside of my box, I'm probably going to freak out.
It's a dangerous game in Florida to start walking around somebody's house, right?
No, absolutely. So
This is not New York.
Yes. So the answer to your question is yes. We send postcards in advance saying that in the next few weeks we'll be at your home and this is what we're going to be doing. And then the day of the installation, the contractor will knock on your door. So if you're home, they'll talk to you about what they're going to do. There is a brief interruption in service while they remove one meter, install the other, and then...
Can you guys not do it between 8 and 10 a.m. when we're here? Because we're live on the air.
And I don't pay for the power during the switch.
If you're not using it, you're not paying for it.
Can you imagine, like, if you guys switched this here on the building, we're on the air?
So for businesses, we would work a little bit differently. Yeah,
Are you guys
work
doing
with you.
businesses at nights, or what are you doing?
No, so we actually allow you to make an appointment as well. So on the card for any customer, on the postcard that you receive, it actually gives you a phone number. So if you would like to schedule an appointment for a specific date and a specific time, you can do that.
All right, Pavita, make sure it's not Friday morning.
I'm just going to walk in here one day and go like, this building seems smarter to me. Let me see your graphs.
So where are they determining to start? Like you said, they started already? Mm-hmm. Where did they go?
So they've started in the Clearwater area right now. Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to make their way north, east? Which way are they going?
They are actually coming down south, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and then coming back around.
Making a loop? How many people are doing this?
So we have contractors. We have one main contractor group that's doing it in this area. I don't know how many people they have, but what we've said are a certain amount by to meet our goals, so that way we can have all of our customers in the Tampa Bay area on or switch to smart meters by March of 2021.
So I know you talked about a whole modernization of the grid. Like, can you talk more about that? Like, what does that mean exactly, other than the smart meters that customers are going to be getting?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of other things along the same lines of the smart the smart thinking, we actually have what we're calling a smart thinking grid. And this is a really neat program, in my opinion, because what it does is if you think of like your GPS, how your GPS, if you're on a route and there's an accident in front of you, it'll automatically reroute you to save you time.
Or ask you if you want to be rerouted.
Right,
Or
right.
just the car built-in GPS system. They never do that.
That's true. Well, our smart thinking grid does the same for our energy. So say there's a fault on a line, say there's a tree that falls on a specific line. What our smart thinking grid does is it recognizes that and it's like, oops.
Interruption.
Yep. There's some customers who are going to be out. Now it'll isolate that and then reroute power to the customers that it can from other sources.
Nice.
That's pretty
So
cool.
it automatically opens and closes fuses.
Exactly. Exactly. And right now we have about 35% of our customers on that technology. Within the next 10 years, we're going to have about 80% of our customers in Florida on that technology. It obviously works in areas better, in areas that are more populated. In rural areas, it's a little bit more difficult.
So we're right off 54. I'll talk about some times we lost power and kind of like what people say, and then you can tell me if it's true, and how the smart meter technology is going to change. Like when we lost power, which is never a long period of time, but we'll talk about that. We come back right after the break. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. If you have some real estate, insurance, or inspection/engineer type questions we didn't get to, you can call or text us at 813-377-2775. We'll be back right after this break.
Tampa Home Talk. I'm Adam Talley with Talley Insurance, joining Leo Cannyn and Katrina Madewell. And today we have Pavita Prasad with Duke Energy, and we're talking about smart meters and so much more. And Katrina, where do we leave off?
Great job on her name, by the way. You actually did not butcher it. So
That's why I did
you
not
a
want to
good
read the
job
bio,
at
by
that.
the way. Words are not my strong
You
suit.
said, I'm not doing it. I'll get the
there
numbers.
was too
I'm not
many
doing this
weird
part.
words in your bio. Not your name, just every colleges.
It's not the
street,
easiest.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest name either.
I think
an effort. You gotta make an effort.
I think I gave USF credit for Shands Hospital earlier, so I
You
apologize.
absolutely did.
Apologize to the fine people over at Shands.
UF.
UF.
Go
No,
get
I think
yours.
that's where all the dance marathon money goes is Shands. So that's a good
Were we
So-
talking about photovoltaic?
No, we weren't.
No?
I was.
Does smart meters tie back into the photovoltaic system if I have my own solar?
So they don't directly. Right now, unfortunately, if you have your net metering customer or if you have your own solar, currently the
They do next
technologies
door.
are not communicating with each other yet. However, in the future they will be.
So what does that mean? Like for my neighbor next door that has solar panels all over the backside of their building.
So that means right now, if that they can't get a smart meter, because right now all of our net metering customers who have solar, they have to be manually read because of how the meters work. So so that's going to continue for the near future.
So
But
they're
in
going
the
to be
next,
billed still higher even though they don't have the smart meter yet?
not higher,
Okay.
not
But-
higher.
Okay.
Not necessarily higher, just they won't be able to access their energy usage information
Got it.
like smart meter customers would be able to.
So one of the things that I've noticed, and I think that's why the building next to me is a doctor's office, put in solar panels. For us, it's not a huge deal unless we're on the air. Of course, it would be a big deal because our internet and everything would go out, and that's how we connect back to the station. But there'll be times where our power goes out, and it's never like a long period of time, but it definitely goes out. And so we're right off of a major road, and so a lot of times we'll hear like sirens go by, and then like right after that, that's when our power will go out. Is that interconnected? Is that related? Is smart energy or smart meters going to fix any of that?
So the smart meters won't fix some of that because many times if there is a siren, a lot of times what can cause a power to go out is if a car hits a pole.
That's what I was thinking.
So-
That's what we hear, and I want to know if that was true.
Yeah. So that unfortunately will still happen. However, the smart thinking grid that I mentioned, that is a fault that would recognize. So as we continue to implement this program, this technology onto our system, that is something that we'd be able to then isolate to hopefully a very small area.
That's what I was thinking because you said it could reroute energy from another area. So that's why I thought maybe you'd do it.
Yeah, it could.
That's pretty cool.
I like it.
Isn't it?
is.
I like it. So how is that going to tie in to your hurricane response?
That's a great question. So for any storm, this would be helpful.
Right.
So like I mentioned, with any big faults and things like that, then the smart thinking grid technology would come into play, and then it would help reroute power. So typically right now as restoration, the way that we restore after a storm is the critical infrastructure first. So, hospitals, police stations, fire stations, things like that. And then we go into the areas that have the largest number of customers, so we can get the largest number of customers on the quickest, and then we continue moving out from there. So the smart thinking grid will help us, especially if, after the storm, what a lot of people don't realize is that during a storm, you can lose power more than once. So many times we are restoring power 2-3 times to the same customer. So what the smart thinking grid will help is if, say, there's an area that's restored and then there is a fault, if another tree falls or something impacts a line after the fact, it'll then help keep power on for some of those customers who would have originally lost it again.
How long after a storm passes do you guys wait before you go out, or do you try to go like immediately when the winds are less than a certain whatever?
Yes. So there are some safety considerations. In the midst of the storm when the winds are really high. However, damage assessment begins directly after a storm. So what damage assessment is our crews going out there identifying what's in a specific neighborhood, in a specific area, what do they need? What equipment will they need to bring? Are there trees down? Are they going to be able to access the lines that they need to, or do they need to bring tree crews? Things like that. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the damage assessment is going on, even though you may not be seeing our large trucks out in the area. That damage assessment is going on immediately after.
Who does the damage assessment? Is it a Duke employee, or do you guys communicate with local law enforcement?
I did that for years, actually. With Florida Power and Light, it was a first responder, and it's weird because between like 1993 and 2008, when there was a storm coming, a big one, everyone's leaving town. I'm figuring out how to get in there. But so what we do is we drive around the grid, and we basically have our maps, and we're marking areas, and it's by priority.
Rating it 1 to 10.
Yeah, no, we rate priority like we got to get hospitals, storm shelters, we got to get those things on first. But
is there a predetermined map already so you know where all that stuff is?
Yes. So we work really closely with the emergency operations centers and the community leaders to help us identify what they consider their critical infrastructure. So, nursing homes, hospitals, things like that. And for our damage assessment, we actually use employees. All of our employees, we have about 3,800 employees in the state of Florida. Each of us has a storm role. So even though we may not be doing our normal job, during or after a storm, everybody has a storm role, so if we kick into action.
Yeah.
And
my husband works for stormwater, so
sorry.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They do a lot of the infrastructure and the storm drains and a lot of regular maintenance and preventive maintenance type stuff. But in the event of a storm, like we have a hurricane that's rolling in, it's mandatory. They all have to go to work. Yeah. Even the supervisors, their whole role changes.
Yeah, I remember back to one of the worst storms. It was back when Irene hit. I was in Palatka with a refusing stick. So just imagine
a refusing stick.
Refusing stick. So just imagine a telescoping pole that goes up 40 feet. And you know those fuses I was talking about?
Yes.
So you've got this little dangly thing. You have to use your 40-foot tall stick to catch it and push it back up into place.
Yeah.
And you have to do that hundreds of times a day. And it's just like, I never want to do that again.
With power.
Basically, you're in the dark because it's at night. So you're using your car for light, and you got the stick, and you're trying to catch that fuse. So imagine trying to thread a needle 40 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
Wow.
No way.
And that's what they're doing after a
sounds
storm.
So antiquated.
That's what they're doing when you hear we're working hard to get your power back on.
They really are.
They're actually in the field in the dark with this stick, putting
Threading
transformers back in.
What is what's your hurricane role? Obviously, you're a spokesperson, so it's probably pretty important, right?
Yeah. So my role stays the same. There are 3 of us in the state of Florida who are communicators. So we will report out to the area. So, for example, during Hurricane Michael last year, one of my colleagues actually deployed up there before the hurricane, rode out the storm up there, and then directly after was on social media, helping with media up there.
Yeah.
So
You're
we continue.
on the news, radio, social, whatever.
Right. We help share the information on our restoration times and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I remember even in 2004 when we had those back-to-back storms, like there was one period where literally we had no power for a week. And it's not like you go to a hotel because the hotel didn't have power either. Like nobody had power. And so it was just so interesting because like literally like when the guys roll in with the trucks and they're restoring your power, people are like outside cheering. There's like block parties. They're like trying to give the guys food and water and all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Which
yes.
I'm sure they appreciate because
Yeah.
their days are long.
Yes. Anytime we have a happy customer and they're happy, and we trust me, we get it. We understand that being without power is inconvenient for any time, any period, any length of time.
Here's the thing I want to talk about, and we, every once in a while we'll talk about perspective or like different things, but I'm a big advocate for perspective because people sometimes will be mad, right? They don't have power. Right. And my thinking is, well, instead of being mad that you don't have power, why don't you be happy that you actually have power anytime you hit a switch?
Right.
Like there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into just giving you power.
Right. And I think you're right. I think it can be taken for granted. It's something that we get so used to on a day-to-day basis, right? So when there is an outage, whether it is a quick outage or an extended outage after a storm, it is an inconvenience, and we use it in so many aspects of our life. Now, our internet's not working because the power is out, and
so I probably shouldn't say this, and I know most people, I might even get some hate mail for this, but for me, like when the power goes out, like
the views that are about
it.
to be expressed are not of the rest of the
It's
Talk
me.
team.
No, I'm just saying, like I welcome it because, like, just to sit, like I've had moments where I'm sitting there in the dark with a candle with my kids playing a game. Air's off, power's off, everything's off, but it's just like think about that for a moment, like the quietness and the peace and not having internet, no social media. Even if your phone is dead, like there's no connection.
Depends on how long that time frame is, right?
For sure.
Like,
For sure.
I could live
But
in that
hour
world.
or two,
I
not
could live
bad.
in that world till tomorrow at 7 o'clock because I cannot get any spoilers.
The beauty of that is, if it lasts too long, right, then it's irritating, it's annoying. But just, most of the time, in my experience, it's not very long. Like, it's not long enough. Like, just to enjoy those moments with your family.
Yeah, funny enough, when Irma was coming, right, and we were living in St. Pete at the time, and we were in a wood frame apartment complex, right, close to the water. We're like, we stayed as long as we could, but we decided to get out because we thought Irma was going to hit us straight on, right? So we go down to a friend's house in Manatee County because it's, block construction. They have a generator, the whole deal. And we ended up losing power at the place that we went. And we never lost power in St. Pete. So thank you, Duke, for not letting us lose power in St. Pete, even though we weren't there. But you can try to avoid it. But
when Irma rolled in, Pat, George, myself, and a few others were literally all on the Paradise. I think it was Paradise, right?
Yeah.
We were out on a cruise ship.
On a cruise ship in the middle of nowhere.
It was like the best cruise ever too, because it's like a 3,000 passenger ship. There was about 900 passengers on there. The crew probably didn't love it because they didn't make the same amount of money, but we loved it. Like as the guests, it was amazing because like you never had to ask for a drink. There was no lines, plenty of food because a lot of people weren't flying in to a mandatory hurricane evacuation zone.
And the sea was probably calm because the storm had pulled.
so calm.
Yeah, the storm pulled all the bad weather.
Yeah, we even went to Cuba. That was on the itinerary. We went to Cuba. The storm actually hit Cuba first before it came to Tampa or through Florida. Mm-hmm. And essentially we ended up getting another itinerary added to our cruise. So we were not supposed to go to Cozumel. So we left Cuba early, went to Cozumel, stayed overnight, and then like came back and they're like, well, the port of Tampa is still closed. So we're just going to kind of cruise back a little bit slowly.
Quote unquote fun day at sea.
No, they just said might have been a couple fun days at sea because they said if the Port of Tampa is not open as we get closer and we have to change our route, we've got a berth open in Port Canaveral. So we're going to take you around the state, park you in Port Canaveral, and you can either stay on the ship until we take you back to Tampa, or you can go home if you can find a way through the state with all the rental cars out.
Yeah.
And flights still not going. I'm like, what is wrong with people? Like, people literally got off the ship in Cozumel and flew home. And I was like, this is the best vacation ever. Like, why are you complaining? Like, I didn't understand why people were complaining. I was like, this is the best. Like, my husband.
It was the first time you could. It was the first time you could actually get in a hot tub.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted to.
No, I was
but
going to say not that you want to on a
I
cruise
think
ship.
Pat did. Anyway, you listen to Tampa Home Talk. We're having a lot of fun today.
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775.
Text your spoilers for
That's
Leo.
our-
No. Well, I won't see them. Yeah, go
Off-air
ahead. Text
number.
all the spoilers of Avengers Endgame
I'll
to that
text
number.
Leo. No worry.
I
I'll
won't
let him
see
know.
him.
All right, this is Tampa Home Talk. We'll be back in just a minute right after this break with Miss Pravita Prasad. We're going to talk a little bit more about smart meters and have a little bit more fun stuff. We'll be back in a minute. You're here. Thanks for listening. We are continuing our chat today with Miss Pavita Prasad, and we're talking all about how Duke Energy is updating their smart meter technology. Adam asked some great questions with regards to the hurricane and what that means. We probably didn't talk enough about solar. So, is any of this new like infrastructure and what they're doing? I know we had you guys on a while back, also with Tico, built about the solar farm that we're building a little bit north. Had some customers a little bit upset about that. But are they doing any of those solar farms? Like, is solar playing a part in any of the smart meter technology?
Yes. So it's actually playing a part in our overall grid modernization initiative. So we have committed to either build or acquire up to 700 megawatts of solar by 2022. And
No, just real quick question for those listening at home. How many megawatts does
Yes,
it like?
how much is that?
Give us some
Yeah.
perspective
So,
on a
yes.
megawatt.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense, because when I tell people, oh, we're a 100,000 watt station, like that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
But
but
Yeah,
compare-
exactly. You're
Compare
trying-
it to the energy needed to go back in time in Back to the Future. It was 1.21 gigawatts.
so I don't know that I
Pretty
can
good visual.
delve that far in, but I can tell you. Okay, so one of our typical solar power plants is about 75 megawatts, and
A year or a day?
Yes, at any given time.
Okay.
At any
That's how
given
much
time.
people
Yep.
use.
About 75 is how much it produces.
So
Okay.
we're nowhere close to
And-
time travel then.
So
Not yet.
not yet. The way that we relate that is that can power up to about 200,000 homes.
Okay.
So to give you a little bit of perspective there. So 700 megawatts by 2022. We just actually announced 4 additional solar power plants that we're going to be bringing online. We opened one in Hamilton County just a couple of months ago, and we announced others in Trenton, Lake Placid, DeBerry, and in Columbia. So those are going to be our universal solar power plants that we build, we maintain, and then that power goes onto the grid, and it's available for all customers.
So what's there right now? Like, is it a really desolate area without a lot of stuff around? Or, because I know I'm sure any of the power companies, I know Tico did, you guys get pushback from the community when you go and you build the solar farms, right?
Right. So for the universal solar power plants, you do need a lot of land, a lot of space to put the solar
When you say a
panels
lot
on.
of land, like what's a lot of land?
Oh goodness.
Roughly, what do you think?
I'm
or
trying
guess?
to recall how many acres now.
a lot.
For it is, yeah. It's it could be hundreds of acres
That's what I
at
was thinking.
times,
Yeah.
depending upon the size of the land of
Question.
the plant.
My house uses volts, and you're talking about watts. So what's the difference?
Oh, that's a good question.
You're such an engineer.
I know it's an important question. I mean, like I have.
Do you know the difference?
How do you even know that
First-
your house uses volts? Like, who asked that question other than Leo?
Well, you look at any of your things. You got to plug this into a 110 outlet. That's a volt.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I can't. So you're testing me a little bit here. So
Count on Leo
I know
for that one.
It's a good question.
It is a great question. So and I would have to honestly look it up because I can't recall off the top of my head. But I do know that. So when we talk about watts, your electric meter, the meters that we were talking about earlier, we do use kilowatt hours. So those are those kind of talk to our system in that same way. I believe with the volt versus the watts, I believe it's the way that it transmits. So, but I'll get back to you. I promise.
I'd look it up, but I can't because spoilers.
Yeah, he's on the whole. I don't know. You probably didn't listen on the way, but he was talking about the Avengers, and he hasn't seen it. And so tomorrow he's going. So he refuses to watch anything anywhere online because he doesn't want to know anything
So
about what's going on.
the easy way to tell the difference between watts and volts is watts is power over time, and volts is just power.
Oh,
There you go.
good to know.
So
Leave it to the engineer
from
to.
an inspector perspective, like, is there one more dangerous than the other?
Well, no, because they're both basically the same thing.
Okay.
One is power. I guess if it was instantaneous power versus power over time would be more damaging.
Sure, of course. Yeah. Makes sense.
Interesting.
Because back in my role-playing games, damage over time is more important than just burst damage.
Mr. Trivia here, I swear, Mr. Trivia. So the solar farms.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about. The solar farms and
The
how
solar
much
farms.
how much space it takes and where they're at. Like, what's around there? What kind of pushback are you getting out of curiosity?
Yeah, so in some areas more so than others, obviously. So in some areas it's a lot more desolate, more isolated. I know that we did one in Perry a few years ago, and it was across the street from an elementary school, and they loved it because we actually have a program with the elementary school students now to come visit. There are some areas where that we're still working through some of the logistics to ensure that we can do it and be good neighbors at the same time as well, right?
So
We
some of
wanna
the
make sure.
some of the things that I heard, because I worked with a client very closely that took them several years to find what they call their dream home. Then they went in, they remodeled, they did all kinds of stuff, and it wasn't but about a year after that, Tico came in and said, hey, we're building this huge solar farm right here that you're going to have to drive past every day, look at, and then, so from a customer's perspective, they're like, what's the long-term damage on this? Like, they just don't know, right? Because you're generating a lot of power, and then that's going out. It's obviously a big deal.
It is, yeah. The one good thing about solar power plants, though, is that there's not a lot of noise. There's not a lot of, compared to a typical power plant.
Which is buzzing and that sort of stuff.
Right, and very minimal. Most of the time you probably won't hear it because of the size and where the equipment is usually positioned. It's more of a visual, right, because it just takes a lot of land. On the flip side, the one good thing about universal power plants is that it provides an opportunity for utilities to help provide solar power to customers who may not be able to put panels on their own home if they're renting or if their homes don't face in the right direction or whatever the case may be. So we do both. We help interconnect customers to the grid as well as build universal plants that can help put that power out.
So is there a better direction for my home to face?
So actually, yes. So obviously, if it's not facing, depending upon your roof and where it's facing,
The pitch of the roof,
yeah,
all that sort of stuff.
to be able to get the most
big old oak
direct
trees.
sunlight.
I know we tried to purchase solar heating for our pool, and they're like, your house is architecturally challenged. We're not going to get enough sun. We can't do it. And I'm like, well, I don't think I want to put solar panels on my roof anyway. I just don't. Like, my roof was brand new.
Yeah, no,
like
you don't wanna
nobody's
do that.
touching my roof.
No.
It's new. We're not doing that.
I mean, I have a solar panel for my chicken coop door.
You do?
It gets enough power, even though it's shady. It gets enough power to open and close that door every morning and every night.
Only at Leo's house.
Wow.
Only at Leo's house
Thanks
with
for,
the engineer.
thanks for leading us into the weekend.
The
I'm
with,
engineer
not
would build a
going
solar
out
door.
there.
robotic
It's 5 in
chicken
the
coop
morning to
door.
open the chicken coop door, and I'm not going out there at sunset to close it to make sure raccoons don't.
I don't think anybody listening to Tampa Home Talk right now is surprised that Leo built a freaking solar door for his chicken coop. Are you?
Wow.
It's very common, actually.
Wow. Anyway, so you're listening to Tampa Home Talk.
Smart technology. It's all about smart technology.
We're going to have fun guests every week. You're going to learn something. I know I do. If you don't learn it from Leo, you'll surely learn it from our guests. And every once in a while, Adam and I will chime in.
Yeah.
We're glad you're listening. Thanks for being here. Remember, if we can help you, call us at our off-air number or text us 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775. Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you.
Love where you live, or we're going to fix it. Welcome home. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye for now.
And